and good evening, everyone. This is Akram Haq from the Policy Times. You're watching India's first and only channel which believes in development journalism and which is setting its own standard, own direction to give a real sense of development and a roadmap how different countries, especially a developing country like India, can become a truly advanced and developed nation. Now, when we talk about development, entrepreneurship or startups or business is the foundation stone for any nation. In today's capitalist society, without having adequate contribution in the economy by the business sector, especially the MSMEs and startups, it is almost impossible. Now, when it comes to a country, a large country like India with 1.35 billion population and third largest startup ecosystem of the world, India has a lot to offer, but at the same time, a lot to learn from the world. And how it will do and what would be the end of India's startup ecosystem is all that we are going to discuss. But today, within the broad spectrum of entrepreneurship business ecosystem, there's an old saying. It says that change is the only thing that is constant in the world, and anyone who is afraid of change will be backward or will be outdated. They need to upgrade themselves. I think any business or any society or any nation, the more they have been flexible and welcoming and positive towards change management, have done well in the society. We all know, I mean, we have three eminent business coach and strategist from three different countries. I'm really very happy to welcome Dr. Tej Hari, from joining Chief Executive Officer and change management expert from of Parivartan from Nepal. Welcome, Dr. Tej. Thank you so much for joining us. We also have from Bangladesh, Mr. Ron Mahenur, founder and chief executive officer of Uddogtagiri. I mean, it's a Bengali term, but I can pronounce it well because I myself, as a Bengali, I can understand the meaning of it. Uddogtagiri means the business guru or business management, something we can say. We will learn from him later. And my partner and fellow colleague, Dr. Prakash Sharma, is a similar business and strategy coach from India who is helping hundreds of business startups in India. So what I was saying, that change is the only thing that is constant in our life. We saw the life of disruption. Initially in India, it was demonetization which brought disruption in life. Before that, it was technology like the rise of digital finance companies that brought massive disruption in the banking sector. Artificial intelligence, the game is not over yet. It is bringing a lot of disruption in the society. People are really struggling to cope up, whether it is education sector, it is healthcare, finance, or all the sectors. But not, least, it's not the least is the 5G technology. It is not yet here in developing countries like India and all. 5G technology will be the next one that will again be massive disruption if we don't adapt it rightly. So, as I just introduced my fellow speakers for the evening today, we will be discussing about what is change management and how change management is an extremely important phenomenon in the business ecosystem, and how do we learn that, what are the positives, what are the negatives, what are the kind of preparations needed in this. This is all that we are going to discuss today with this eminent three speakers from three different countries. So may I, as a starter, may I request two of our eminent guests joining from Nepal and Bangladesh, if you can introduce yourself in just 30 seconds about your specialty and the kind of work that you are doing in your country. Maybe we can start with Dr. Tej.
Yes. This is Tej Hari Gimire. I work for Parivartan. Parivartan focuses on change management, specifically for the existing enterprises, and work for research in economic development, specifically focused in rural and local economic development.
Excellent. Mr. Ron.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum, Adab, Namaskar. I am Ron Mahinur, founder and CEO of Uddoktagiri. As you already said, Uddoktagiri is a Bengali term and it means basically the process of entrepreneurship. I mean, doing entrepreneurship as an entrepreneur. So, we basically do Uddoktagiri to help and support entrepreneurs and startups to start and grow their startup from beginning to the growth level. That's all.
Thank you. And we have Dr. Sharma. May I request Dr. Sharma, the business coach and helping entrepreneurs in India, also the co-partner, the passion owner of Passion Pro and Auto Nebula and a lot of other organizations through which he's promoting entrepreneurship, to say the mastermind also of this show, to say a few words that why are you doing this kind of series of webinars?
Yeah. So I'll just keep all the viewers informed that passion as a concept, it got evolved much before the startup ecosystem flourished in the world. So from 2000, 1996, this got originated as an idea, then it got converted into a private limited company, and by 2011, it has evolved as a framework. So one of the gaps which we have always seen is that many of the NGOs actually struggle for technology innovations, and at the same time, the outreach to the rural community, in case if there is a gap in the technology, obviously there is going to be a kind of gap with reference to the progress. And with that in mind, I was working with BIF Development Research Foundation, a leading NGO, and I used to do a lot of projects executing at the grassroots level in watershed management, rural development, and so on. And one of the problems which we could see is that uh, it was more of a struggle for the NGO leads to actually travel, reach out with the community, bring a lot of alignments to the community requirements. But at the same time, sometimes the salaries of individuals will be as per the budget provided by the sponsors, and that would also be one kind of an impediment because everyone wants to look out for the progress and growth. And for this particular progress and growth, then what we used to do is that I took all the lessons from the NGO and then started my own initiative. And Passion Framework is more of a collaborative initiative where seniors participate, collaborate, and bring in the creativity aspects. And we can build solutions for the NGOs. We can set up incubation centers for the NGOs, and at the same time, we are bringing a big change in the mindset of individuals to collaborate, create, and share the knowledge. And that is one of the most important aspect, because unless and until the knowledge is not disseminated, many of the grassroots level people don't know the schemes, government schemes. They don't know what is the extent of the outreach. They don't know from where they will get sponsorship and so on. So I'm trying to bridge that particular gap, and
Excellent.
that is one of the reasons these shows.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. I want to come with the basic and first question that in your respective country, how has the COVID-19 impacted business or disrupted business or brought the positive as well as negative changes? Maybe starting with Dr. Tej.
Yeah, basically, there are a lot of impact from the COVID-19. Actually, small businesses, because some of the businesses they already closed down, they could not operate, and some of the informal traders they are impacted a lot, who are earning from the local streets and other shops, and they are impacted economically, also socially, because they could not go to their home village and they could not stay uh, within the urban cities also. That is one. And second is education sector. A lot of children and students they impacted, but later on that gave some sort of innovation using online technology to do education, revive education system. That was the positive part, to be engaged all the children and also the adults within the online education system. But there are still debate going on this, and also there are certain level of frustration from the traders and the business entrepreneurs to pay the tax also during the COVID situation. And also there is some sort of support from the government side to relieve some of the taxes also. There are some interest incentives also going on. And also from the banking sector also, there are positive directions to support enterprises.
Thank you. Mr. Mahinur, how is the situation in Bangladesh, and what are the positive and negative changes that the COVID crisis has brought in?
COVID-19 has impacted all over the world, so we are not exception. In Bangladesh, we also saw a lot of impact in the SME sector, especially in the MSME sector, and our industries, RMG sector has got a lot of impact. And due to COVID-19, uh, almost 4 months, our industries are closed, and SMEs startups are not able to give their products or service in the general way they were doing. So the way of business has changed a lot, and we saw a lot of disruption in the technology sector, in the retail sector. E-commerce is booming because people are afraid to go to the market and in the retail shop, so they are buying their essential needs from the e-commerce. So it's growing. And also we saw in technology tools, it's booming because people are not going outside for meeting, so they are using like Zoom or other things for education meetings and business deals, for everything else. So if we say about the positive things of COVID-19, we can say it is helpful for the e-commerce businessmen and information technology entrepreneurs. But other on the other hand, it's a big impact on the MSME sector who are not able to implement technologies and integrate technology with their business. So they are getting a lot of hamper, and they are not able to pay the payment to their uh, employees, and also they are laying off their employees because lack of revenues in their balance sheet. So they are not also able to pay the rent for the office spaces, and I saw a lot of entrepreneurs already left their offices due to lack of revenue. So it's really a heart melting news for the entrepreneurs, especially for the young entrepreneurs who are trying so hard to make a startup from the scratch, but now they are not able to run their startup. And lot of startups are pivoting to new eras, new services and products because of I mean, ride sharing is off in Bangladesh right now, so they are pivoting to other services. They are providing shopping and shop experiences from their app because they are not able to pay their rent and salaries to their employees. So in terms of cost minimization, they are doing these things. So that's all from the side right now.
Thank you. I want to cut it short and come to the point. You are dealing with interacting with a lot of entrepreneurs, startups, and all. What are the key suggestions or common suggestions, maybe sector wise, because NGO's revenue model is different from a retailer or from an IT sector guy or a pharma guy or a pharma startup. So different sector will have certainly some customized advices from you. But in some bullet points, if you can share that what are the kind of advices you are giving to your startup clients or friends, so that they can not only cope up with this but can also be a leader in the change format. So yeah, Dr. Tej, sorry, you are mute. You can unmute yourself. Yeah.
You say if we need to support the startup and if they need to do the right thing, we need to think from their side how to interact in between supply side and demand side of the change management. Basically, whether it is during the pandemic situation or normal situation, first we need to think about communicating with all the demand and supply side of the actors within the ecosystem for a meaningful communication about the change management. That is first. And later on, need to think about what is the resilient strategy to be prepared by the enterprises and how to cope with this kind of change that are occurring into the life of the ecosystem. For example, there are a certain level of uncertainty. Even they don't know how to deal with the diverse market system, market actors, and different supply chain. And these are the things they need to place within their strategy, resilient strategy, and also they need to build their capacity because all the enterprises, small SMEs, they don't have capacity to deal with the situation risk that is occurring during the different kind of shocks. Even they, when they start their businesses, they are prone to fail due to external shocks. Even some sort of illegal trade barriers, also some sort of behavior of the actors also among themselves. Some sort of organization, existing organization enterprises, they do the oligopoly system within the trade or enterprise sales. They don't allow the new entrepreneurs to enter into the market. So they need to think how to deal with this kind of supply chain network, how to break and how to diversify these supply chain network at the input level, also the output level. Both sides they need to think, and also they need to strategize if they would like to be a sustainable within the normal situation and also the abnormal situation. They need to have a strategy to work for circular economic benefit sharing among the actors so that ecosystem can also exist within local situation, and also at the same time they will get support from the support institutions. Otherwise they could not get support from others, and they could not also penetrate into the local enterprise ecosystem. This is the major recommendation from our side.
Mr. Mahinu, your view on this?
Yeah, basically, we work with little startups here in Bangladesh, and a lot of startup entrepreneurs already asked for mentoring and consultancy. So, how can they deal with this situation? First of all, I want to say one thing that no entrepreneur had coronavirus in their business plan. So, COVID-19 is unexpectedly, incidentally, or coincidentally, it's there, and we need to face them. We need to tackle the situation without any doubt. Otherwise, uh, we will not be able to grow our business to the next level. So that's why what we said to our startups, that number one, enable technology if they are not doing that. Number two, enabling digital marketing to reach their niche target market, because of due to COVID-19, people are in quarantine, they are at home and they are on online. So easily we can reach our target customers if we can make it and segment it. So we are trying to give suggestion to our startups that do something what you hadn't done before. Do something new, because this situation is new, this challenge is new, and we need to recover this challenge by taking actions. And also we are giving suggestion to our entrepreneurs to pivot to the relevant products or services which they can provide and which people need right now, and which can fill up the need, fill up the gap in the market. So a lot of entrepreneurs also pivoting, and to be sustainable, we suggested our entrepreneurs to change in their business strategy, because end of the day strategy is the thing that will take our business to the next level. So we are suggesting them not to go for the unicorn strategy, go for the camel strategy. Slowly but surely it will take you to your destination, and keep as much cash at your hand, because we need to go at least 6 or 12 months runway with the capital we have in our hand. So for the sustainability, we are providing this thing to our startups and saying them to pivot only to the relevant things. That's all.
Thank you. Dr. Sharma, you being ambassador of the global startup ecosystem, how are you suggesting entrepreneurs? What are you suggesting now?
See, there are 7 to 8 areas in change management, okay, because of coronavirus. First is work from home. If you know that this is one of the major change in the way of life. So in fact, now the IT companies and even manufacturing companies, they have to get used to this work from home initiative. But at the same time, there is also a challenge where, because you would have seen all the migrants who disappeared from the towns and they went out to their villages, and there was a shortage of supply of labor, in fact. So skilling, upskilling, and managing the skilling needs become it is a need of the day in almost any countries. Because what happens is, in the time when the migrants are not willing to come back to the city for whatsoever reason, so it is very important to look inward to the laborers. Now, from that, the other change management which gets impacted is the productivity management and defect management. Because work from home, or even if suppose new individuals are coming to the labor stream, there will always be a scope of defects to increase, as well as productivity issues will be there. So the whole defect management and productivity management will be need to undergo a big change. And by productivity, let me put it this way: in the IT companies, for all of you to benefit you, though we say 8 hours of work, we take productivity only for 6 hours or 6 hours per day, because 2 hours goes on meeting and communications and scrum calls and all. So the productivity is 6 hours. Now with COVID, the productivity may be just 2.5 hours. So how are you going to extract the work in 2.5 hours? And are we going to pay the full salary to the individuals for full 8 hours for 2.5 hours work? That is where the challenge comes in. And then supply chain. The entire supply chain has got disrupted. And when we talk about supply chain, we have many manufacturing companies who are doing their production, but the production is not going to reach out to the retailer because of all the transport barriers and so on. So how are we going to have effective supply chain management within COVID? That is again an area of change management. And then business continuity and disaster management. Just for all of the viewers, there is something known as ISO 22301. Okay. Now, ISO as such is a neglected standard. Means many of the companies, they do go in for ISO standard, but only from the environment perspective point of view. But COVID has taught us that ISO 22301 has to be implemented in each and every college, schools, NGOs, and even corporates, because that gives you a tag of how you maintain the business continuity during this adverse time. And whichever companies that have considered for this ISO 22301, they are doing well. There is no impact on the productivity. And then the last one, which I would say, is the connectedness. Individuals need to be connected. Otherwise, if suppose because of COVID, they don't communicate with each other, there is a problem of depression and stress. So connectedness plays an important role. That is where we have started this particular exercise of bringing all the people together, not only from the same country, but also from different countries, because we want to understand their problem and actually arrive at implementation strategies. That is what I told to Dr. Tej also, that we don't want to just be kind of platform where we are actually just conducting interviews and that is the end of the day. So the big change which we are trying to bring in is through the interviews. That is where the policy times you are advocating the policies, and these policies are actually a instrumental factor for change, and we have to then track that particular changes for effectiveness. Your voice is not coming. Akram, your voice
Sorry.
is not coming.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. So this is actually our vision. That it was a vision that in our lifetime, maybe in next 30 to 40 years, we want to see India as an advanced country. I don't know how we are going to achieve this because we have waited for 70 years, but I think with this kind of disruption or changes coming into play, I think this can leapfrog us into that league. Now, one crucial and the most important and pertinent question. I will watch again after this show what Dr. Sharma said. A lot of crucial points actually I came, but I want to learn them and rewind them again and again in terms of understanding them and then making this strategy. But the most important question now, how will be the picture of the startup ecosystem or the environment of the startup ecosystem or the position of startups post COVID, and how will we operate? Will it be same as pre-COVID or will it be different? How different? And then what are the positives we can take from them and what are the negatives we should be careful about?
Yeah, I'll just intervene over here just for the benefit for Dr. Tej. When we talk about startup, it is also the community. So the same, how the community management will scenarios will get impacted because of the post-COVID situation. That is what we want to understand.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, at the community level, most of the startups they will focus on the agriculture sector, because after the pandemic, every people they wanted to go to the nature, and also they would like to focus on the health sector, and also they need to be more hygienic, and they would like to use more organic products and more hygienic foods, healthy foods. These are the two types of trend emerging positive side, because before the pandemic era, before COVID-19, all the youth they were not interested to go for the agriculture. Even they were interested to focus much on the to be a doctor or engineer or other IT professionals. But now all the millennials probably they are thinking to go towards agriculture, nature, and more health oriented enterprises. What the interaction with the different youth that I have seen in the field. At this moment also, when I interacted with the Zoom classes also, and also the interaction with the other youth.
Yeah, and Dr. Tej, we also wanted to understand, because we have done a lot of outreach with China, Tibet, and Himalayan villages. So, how you see this impact to them at the grassroots level?
At this moment, I did not travel during the COVID, but I could imagine there is, you say, after the COVID, all the people, they are staying at home. And also there is I saw the chances of interaction in between youth and elderly people. If we are talking about the community level and the grassroots level, we need to think about the agriculture also, and agriculture based enterprises and innovation in agriculture. And if we see the meta level thinking of youth and even elderly people, they are always motivating all the youth not to be engaged into the agriculture system, because they face very hardship of their life in their generation. That is why they always push all the youngs to go to other sectors. Now, all 60 above people, they are engaged in agriculture sector. And if we are talking about sustainability of the enterprises and ecosystem, what would happen after 10 years? If all these old age people, they are becoming 70s, and there is no people working in the field in agriculture system. I think there is an interaction within the home now they are living together, there might be some sort of way they are finding to work in this natural way in the field, that I could imagine from here at this moment, but I could not say much. Before pandemic situation, there were not much interest from the youth to do in agriculture sector.
Thank you, Dr. Tej. I think very nice. I also wanted to know what are the kind of new business process. How will be the operations done? How will be the marketing done? How will be the HR done in the post COVID? How will this thing changes and startups will cope up those things?
So startups, they will, because all the, you see, I saw the link between the corporate sector and informal sector due to this pandemic and COVID-19, because they need a kind of supply chain delivery system. They need to work through the online. Online is progressing after this COVID-19, and also the informal sector, they are being engaged through online delivery system. They are getting connected with the corporate house, because corporate house, they don't want to go directly to the community people, and the all the informal sector, they want to be connected with the corporate houses. That is the positive thing that I saw.
Okay. Mr. Mahinur, what are your views on this?
Startup ecosystem already changed in the last 4 months due to COVID-19. As we already know that the co-founder and CEO of Airbnb said, what we achieved in 12 years, we lost almost in just 6 weeks. So we can assume what he said, that a lot of things have changed. The way of management changed, the way of expense changed, the way of revenues changed, the way of hiring changed, and the way of doing marketing changed. A lot of things changed, and also focus on investment also changed, because investors are not focused on investing in fascinating things. They are only focused on investing in the things which are much needed, which has demand, which is essential. So the number one thing I already noticed in the last 4 months, that uh, only those startups who are uh, doing painkiller things are the one which will sustain, but who are only doing the vitamin, they will not sustain. Most important thing is,
Interesting.
exactly, most important thing is, this scenario will be the fixed scenario after COVID-19 as well. Investor will not invest in vitamin startups, they will only invest in the painkiller startups, because those startups will be sustainable. And vitamin startups are only interesting, only fascinating, but those can't be sustainable in the long term. So this is the number one thing for the startup ecosystem, I would say. And another thing is, the way of reaching target market is changing because of COVID-19. If I give an example, a grocery store is collaborating with a delivery app, so that they can both create win-win situation. Delivery app can deliver and make revenues, and grocery store can provide their groceries to the target customers through the delivery app. So both are getting traction, and both are making win-win situation for both. So this thing has done only because of COVID-19, and it will go on. And number three, if I say, business strategies are changing. People were going after lavish things, but now they are only going after the thing which are essential, which are needed, and which are basically wise to implement. So strategies changing, processes changing, and also the operations are changing. Those things are changing, and this will be the universal thing for the new normal as well after COVID-19.
Dr. Sharma?
See, one of the biggest change which will come in not only in India, globally, is that can startups survive without investments? Because money is not going to come. That is for sure. Now, where the money will come will be only with reference to health innovations. Money will be coming with reference to the agriculture innovations, what Dr. Tej is talking about. And at the same time, money is not going to come in the way that it is going to be $10 million, $20 million, unless and until you are a Geo or some proven organization with a huge track record. So, can the whole ecosystem survive without money? And this is what Passion Framework is trying to do. So it's the biggest change management strategy, where what I am trying to do is reach out to everyone, like whether it is Ron, Dr. Tej or something, and can we prove ourselves in this particular trying times and make at least 5 to 6 entrepreneurs, and through these entrepreneurs create employment opportunity. Maybe we don't promise a sky and the moon salary to individual. We are not talking about giving even a 30,000, 40,000 rupees salary to an individual, but can we pay at least 6,000, 8,000, 10,000 rupees, no, to sustain a family? Because one of the problem which you would have seen, Akram, in the newspaper, if you have heard, we have teachers now started selling vegetables, and the whole, it's a mess. In fact, no salaries to the teachers for the last 6 months, and the school are having multiple dropouts of the kids because the migrants are not able to pay the fees. And what may happen is, if suppose this thing continues, in the next 4 years, we will have so many illiterates. In fact, again, moving on, because the attention span of students have anyways got reduced. You know that TikTok is there, which has got banned. But then we have Chingari app. So we are promoting more of the entertainment kind of apps. We are getting huge kind of publicity. We are having a lot of publicity with reference to media, creating marts of various tools. But the kids, if they don't have that particular money to join a platform like Baiju, or then what next? So this is where now, this is what I would like to announce to Dr. Tej and and Ron also, that we have some coaching platform tools. I don't mind giving this particular coaching platform tools to each and every teacher over there in whichever country, and we help them connect. Like, we can adopt schools by which we can at least have this particular coaching platforms be given to the next bottommost grassroots level people, so that at least some way it should happen. Because we see, I have one particular school at Naigaon, Akram. It has been done through a lot of struggle and hard work, and it's a different story because it's not a 2-acre land. I could not convert it into one particular school of up to 10th standard. So it is only up to pre-primary. So there we are experimenting with upper KG and lower KG students, where they are actually using WhatsApp, and a teacher actually goes to the family and teaches. We don't want the teaching process to stop. So one of the biggest change management which we have to see is how teaching can be improved, and whether the teachers can survive this. Otherwise, the teachers will end up doing selling vegetables, and I don't know how it is going to move. So this is something where I would like to hear from you also, Akram. What is the state of affair in Delhi and other countries? I would like to hear from Rohan and Tej also, no, how we are going to have the education system survive.
Absolutely. I will tell. Maybe we'll hear from Mahinur and Dr. Tej first. I have thought and planned something today itself, and I'm really glad that you raised this issue. In fact, I forgot to raise it.
So,
Yeah.
I would like to relate Dr. Prakash's opinion regarding the whether can enterprises survive without funding or not, startups basically, and also the education, and can we use this application to the education system. First, yes, because for the startups, they need actually the coaching, mentoring, and the changing the mindset, change management needed here, not the fund. Actually, startup, they can bring their fund and they can sell the product also. First, need to think about how to change their mindset, meta level thinking. That what I talked previously, that how could we change the family behavior towards going to new innovation using these cultural behaviors, value chain system, we need to change, and also there are a lot of synergies we can create within the ecosystem, so that we can share circular benefit of the enterprises, so that we must not need external funding for the startups. Need
Exactly.
innovation,
Yes.
idea, and changing meta level thinking. These are the things. And also for the education system, yes, if we can, instead of using different media and also TikTok like instruments, we can use this kind of enterprising and how to become startups from the school level to teach the students, and also innovate them how to become innovative startups. That can be, I think we could test some sort of community level schools or education enterprises for those things. I think
Exactly.
that may be instrumental.
Mr. Mainur,
Uh, well,
you,
I will like to relate with Dr. Prakash Sharma, sir, that he told that without any investment can the startups survive. I would say without investment, no business can survive. But the only way to survive is to make some money within this COVID-19 situation by providing the essential things or pivoting to the relevant products and services which has a demand in the market. So I am saying again, our startups need to do the painkiller things, not the vitamin things, because people will only expense their money after the painkillers, not vitamins, because they will think to sustain for a long term, and they will think to go a long term with the money they have in their hand. They won't lose the money for a vitamin thing. So
brilliant.
only way to sustain is to provide the painkiller to the customer, because people will eat food, people will take the things they need to survive. They will not take the thing to thrive now, because this is not the time to thrive, this is the time to survive. So for the startup as well, the time to survive is to provide painkiller things. This is the way to survive without investment. And if I talk about the education system, our education has totally closed here. No school, no college and university is running. Some institutes are running through online, only the universities, but school and colleges are totally closed. So lot of uh, schools are on sales. The owner of the school are putting advertisement on the newspapers and social media, especially in Facebook, to sell the school with including the furniture as well. Last week, one owner did the same thing, and it goes viral to the BBC News as well.
Right.
After
We have seen that.
yeah, after that, one of my brother, he contacted with the owner of the school, and he did a partnership with them, and now the school reopened again, and they are doing in a different way. Students are not coming to the school, but teachers are going to the students house
Wow.
Correct.
I
to
mean,
teach them.
right. Super. Sorry to interrupt you. Please go on if you have
Yeah.
anything.
So the thing is, we need to change the system of education, like what they did. They did. Students don't need to come to the school. Teachers will go to the students' house to teach them, like a home tutor. Not every day, but 3 days in a week, like that. So they are doing in this way, and they are sustaining this way. Other schools in India or Nepal or Bangladesh can also follow this strategy. So this is the thing about
Exactly. Thank
education.
you. Now I'll take maybe a couple of minutes. We are in the end, the last portion of this, and Dr. Sharma has actually instigated me. He wanted to hear something. Dr. Sharma, now you have to come in the camera. Now
Yeah.
see what we have realized, the need and what we have started doing. There are three things I will show you.
Yeah.
Uh, Before coming to this, let me just show this one. This is a kind of, series of webinars with school principals and universities. We have started connecting universities with schools and doing a lot of, like, as of now, when we are talking every day, almost one or two webinars we are doing on various topics. Education been a constant factor in all the webinars. And see, the theme of this webinar, which is tomorrow, is basic principles of online education and sustainable students engagement. And
Correct.
here you will find 14 or 15 uh, government school principals joining us. 15
Okay.
government school principals are joining. And tomorrow, and then we have one chairperson, a very renowned educationist, Dr. V.K. Agarwal, and his president and vice chancellor. He will be joining us tomorrow to discuss the basics about online education and how it can be given. Now, I have realized the very relevance of online education, and I felt that if India fails to provide digital connectivity and to provide online education, 1 crore, yani 10 million Indian students will be deprived of education soon. So we have launched a Million Smile campaign to empower digital connectivity for universal education. You know, it's been long that India was talking about universal education accessible for all. I realized that this is a golden opportunity. This is the best time that with the help of a digital gadget, whether it is a tablet, whether it is a smartphone, or whether it is a laptop, we can reach out to every kid in the country to provide the education. And this education will be the globally standard education. Because now the kid will have a lecture by an American teacher, a European teacher, or a Japanese teacher, or a Chinese teacher, South Asian teacher, or anyone at the global scale and standard. These are just two. So I have tied up with one organization like ITSM Lab, because now digital connectivity is going to be the core. If we fail to provide digital connectivity to our kids,
Hello
just
everyone,
watch
मैं
this
हूं
video.
अकरम। पिछले 90 दिनों से पॉलिसी टाइम्स ने 90 से ज्यादा एजुकेशन पे वेबिनार किया है और इस वेबिनार करने के दौरान हमने भारत की प्रोमिनेंट वाइस चांसलर्स को, एजुकेशनिस्ट को या हेडमास्टर या प्रिंसिपल्स को, हम इन तमाम लोगों को हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म से जोड़ा। हमने रियलाइज किया है कि जो कोविड-19 क्राइसिस है, ये अगले कई दिनों से ये रहने वाला है, लगभग 1 से 2 साल तो ये रहेगा। और ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन यानी डिजिटल एजुकेशन हमारी जिंदगी का एक हिस्सा बनने वाला है। ऐसे दौर पे हमने देखा है, लगभग अगर भारत ने हमारे बच्चों को ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन से शिक्षा नहीं दे पाए, तो रिसर्च कहती है 1 करोड़ से भी ज्यादा बच्चा अपनी पढ़ाई छोड़ देंगे। तो पॉलिसी टाइम्स ने एक मिलियन स्माइल कैंपेन लॉन्च किया और इसके दौरान हमने कई सारे जो टैब मैन्युफैक्चरर्स और उनके साथ हमने बात करी या असेंबलर हो, उनसे बात करी। बात करने के बाद बहुत गहरा रिसर्च, क्योंकि अभी चाइना बैन होने की वजह से आईटी प्रोडक्ट्स।
So this is just a brief about what we have thought. And the last one I want to show that we realize that education will have to change. And this change, Dr. Sharma, you have to see this. If we don't bring change, so it's not that education is going to stop. We just need to change the way we think and we do. I thought that let me bring all these schools in or connect with all the schools digitally and start interacting with the most relevant subjects that we should talk about. Things will not stop. Entrepreneurship will not stop. Schools will not stop. Schools will have to stop if they are not becoming innovative enough to provide education. What schools, the biggest mistake that they are doing is they have surrendered to Corona. They have stopped providing education to their kids. What they should have done is they realize that online education is imperative, but they are sitting back at home. Most of the school principals, most of the teachers, they are not opting out options to provide online education. And I felt this, that I have this responsibility to reach out to kids. So I reached out to all the prominent IT markets of Delhi and found a lot of assemblers or companies and tied up with them, and none of them have solutions. See, here in one side we have solution, on the other side schools are not cooperating, like not coming forward. They are not coming out of their cocoon or the comfort zone. So I thought, let me be the bridge and see the issues that we are discussing here. Skill education, especially during COVID crisis, during and after. Skills and entrepreneurship training in schools. Future jobs and role of schools. This kind of workshops that you saw in the other one, infographics, we have started doing so that the crisis can be converted into an opportunity. Thank you. I think we should go to the conclusion part now. So, just to summarize, change management. We were talking about change management. Maybe Dr. Tej, if you summarize the entire discussion with the very basic principles of what kind of things should be kept in mind when we talk about change management and important lessons for our business.
Basically, we need to think about the productivity. Also, what Dr. Prakash says, if we need to think about the change management, because through the change, if we use the technology, it can increase the productivity, as well as at the same time, we need to think about the engaging human resources also without losing their job. That is one point. And the second point, I think what we discussed about the resilient strategy of the enterprises, and at the same time building capacity of their human resources to cope with the different kind of shocks, external and internal, both the shocks. And also there are a lot of opportunity through these COVID crisis, specifically in the education sector, that we saw already. In Nepal, most of the private schools, they offered online education system for the kids also from class 2 above. Now they stop after 3 months course during the COVID. Due to the discussion about the payment to the teacher, there is a halt, but there are innovation going on already during the crisis also. What you saw in your slide about the education system changing, I think that is the way where we can change our mindset also through the online education system. And also we could reduce the cost, also increase the productivity also. And also innovation we can bring for the startups also, introducing enterprises, startups, education within the education system also.
Thank you. Mr. Mahinur.
If I talk about change management for the organization or startup, then I would like to say, due to COVID-19, it has taught us about financial education, expectedly or unexpectedly, and it has taught us about management. How can we manage our organization with lack of resources? So, number one thing I would say, identify those things which are needed and which are not essential to do cost minimization. And number two is, without doing laying off to the employees, I find out ways how we can generate revenues by doing change management in our organization, by pivoting or doing business development or doing innovation, whatever it is. And the last thing I would like to say, change management is the only thing we need to take it as a positive, not as a negative thing. A lot of people take it as a negative thing, but I would like to say this is the only thing which is universal and which will be universal. And if we want to sustain our organizations, our startups, this is the thing we need to go on for a long journey. That's all.
Thank you. Dr. Sharma, your closing comment.
From change management point of view, let us look into the key parameters for change management. One is the process change. most of the processes will have to undergo a change, which could be even the way in which we are having the education system being conducted. We may need to bring in innovations also in the examination management. So there's a lot of work, not only in education, even in agriculture, there will need to be a lot of interventions needed with reference to skilling and identifying the demand of what kind of fruits and crops and how we are going to cope up with that particular items in case if there is a sudden blockage of transport, and what happens to those waste, because waste management is also one very big issue which we need to consider. And now with COVID, many of the people have started using gloves, and also plastic is actually on rise. In fact, we had one particular session on with the Director General of Plastic Industry also. So how are we managing that particular waste also will play an important role. So process asset, how are we planning the assets? That is what Akram, as you showed, how are we going to reuse the assets like old computers, laptops, mobiles? Can we give it to the students? So again, over there, one particular kind of an intervention will be needed. And then human, obviously, we need to look into each and every human element and identify the business continuity for them, because BCP, there is something known as business continuity planning and disaster management, disaster recovery. So here what has happened is COVID has like a disaster, but no one has done a planning. BCP was not there in place, and disaster recovery is out of question. So we need to look into the process, asset, and human angle, and also the security aspect. Because what happens is with this online training or too much of information sharing, we need to also make people aware of how to use computers, what is the cookie, what kind of precautions you need to take when someone is trying to do one e-transfer. Banks are closed, so many people have started getting into internet banking. So the pros and cons of internet banking also needs to be taught. So a lot of education awareness we need to bring in. So continuity, for any business continuity, capacity availability plays an important role, like how Dr. Tej has mentioned. So it is very important to keep in mind that the demand, capacity, availability, all these three factors will govern the change management if we want to bring in more improvements to the service or product. So
excellent. I think brilliant. Thank you so much, Dr.
Yeah.
Tej, Mr. Mahinur, and Dr. Sharma for being with us and having such wonderful discussion. Change, your today is certainly not what it was yesterday. Tomorrow certainly will not be like what it is today, which means that change we have to adapt. Especially if you are in business, you have to be sharp, intelligent, smart, innovative. And in all this, change is going to be an integral part of your success and journey. Any entrepreneur, wherever, to whatever the level he starts, he has to improve or grow. The moment you grow, your challenges come or become new. So every new challenge that comes in front of you, or every challenge that will come in front of you, will be a new one. So I think instead of being afraid of change, COVID is just another change. As Dr. Sharma said, it's a disaster change. But whatever it is, but you have to adapt it and overcome it. So that's how, and that's what will make you an entrepreneur. I mean, Mukesh Ambani has proved, see that during this crisis, he's the only one who has raised billions of dollars. And he has done that. Oyo, Ritesh Agarwal has done what a 26 years or 20 years old kid can do. I mean, I would say kid. But yeah, he has done and shown to the world that what a young boy or a young man can do in their life. Thank you. You're watching the Policy Times. If you like our discussion like this, do subscribe and like our Facebook page. We will again come with similar excellent experts from different fields to guide you in this.
Thank you, Akram, and thank you, Dr. Prakash, and thank you, Ron.
Thank you.